Over the past couple of weeks, I've been finding excuses for not recording another one of my YouTube episodes on the wars taking place in the Middle East. The major wars in Gaza and Lebanon, and the minor ones in Yemen, Iraq, and Syria. And excuses there are aplenty. So many people are writing, observing, analyzing, lecturing about these wars that I do not need to add my little bit to, or that I'm too busy with other professional engagements, let alone my talks on Middle Eastern and Armenian matters. Still more, that my health doesn't allow me to stress over another episode because the subject matter itself is so stressful. But today, I decided to take a short dive into this violent maelstrom. I don't wish to talk about the shortcomings of the US administration, the inertia of Europe, or the silence of most Arab states. Not even about how the bombs are being rained upon South Lebanon, which is now being turned into the killing fields of Gaza. About my fears that Lebanon might suddenly face civil strife, about the fact that the Israel-Palestine conflict didn't start on 7th October last year, or even about the death of public international law, because its nature is such that it stops being relevant if states that are meant to apply it break it with impunity and arrogance. So, if I don't wish to talk about any of this, what is left for me to talk about really today? The weather? The food? Well, forgive my pungent irony, because I'm frustrated with the way that we human beings have emptied ourselves of our humanity. When human beings are totally bereft of empathy, compassion, decency, understanding, humanity, and when they are ready to kill a 10-year-old girl as easily as an 80-year-old man, what is there left to hope for? Well, I'll talk for the space of a few instants about human beings. Most ordinary human beings would agree, perhaps, that the massacre of 7 October 2023 in the Gaza envelope against Israelis was vile and unacceptable. And like me, many people have condemned this chapter of violence repeatedly. The murder of partying young people, the kidnapping of civilians alongside soldiers. No matter the politics, the human threshold was overstepped here. But then we had the riposte, the response by Israel. And this response has been vengeful, vindictive, unhampered, uncontrolled, and unrestrained by UN calls or worldwide protests. With the US administration having his back, Prime Minister Netanyahu has unleashed hell on earth across the whole of Gaza, both to the north and south of the coastal wetland of Wadi Gaza. 42,000 Gaza Palestinian deaths. The official figure includes 17,000 children. And if you add those whose bodies are putrefying under the rubble that is this strip today, you can easily reach 50,000. Hospitals, schools, worship places destroyed, tents burnt with internally displaced persons inside them. Too violent and too inhumane. But Prime Minister Netanyahu and his ministers get away with it because the global north is protecting the so-called only democracy in the Middle East. Then there is Lebanon. In my opinion, Hezbollah shouldn't have coupled Gaza with Lebanon when well over 50% of the Lebanese citizens did not want to have another war waged on their territory. But the relentless bombing by Israeli fighters and drones has been sickening. killing 50 innocent civilians in order to kill one Hamas or Hezbollah fighter. This, frankly, is not in my books or my understanding of international law precepts. It is not in my religious or social teachings either, and it is not in my perception of humanity. So, this is where we are today. Gaza has, for all intents and purposes, been cancelled. Lebanon, mainly the south and southern suburbs of the capital, but not only, have been strafed with so many bombs. True, leaders have been killed and organizations crippled too. But will they stay down? Vengefulness is not self-defense. It is not even a lex talionis situation. It's 100 eyes for one eye, 100 teeth for one tooth. And this is not a medium-term or long-term deterrent either. So the Israeli hostages, the Palestinians in Gaza, and incidentally in the West Bank, where Israel is violating the humanity and property of Palestinians daily, from Jenin and Tulkarem to Bethlehem and Hebron. Lebanon, where a beautiful country with lousy and corrupt politicians is being leveled out in some parts. So, how do you think the ordinary man, woman, or child would feel today in that neck of the woods as we here tuck into our lunches, dinners, and drinks? Traumatized? PTSD'd? Hopeless? Angry? Grief stricken? Afraid? Without a future? Without a family? Trauma cannot be countered with the horrors of more traumas. The slow process of healing requires, in this instance, a ceasefire that would free the Israeli hostages and their families of their bereavement. It would also free Palestinians as well as Lebanese of their orphaned and heart-sinking realities. And don't demean the value of these ordinary human beings by saying, what about their politicians? In my religion, Jesus spoke to the crowds, whilst the politicians closed their ears. Today is not about refined analyses for me. Today is about the dearth, the scarcity of our humanity. Mahatma Gandhi, the lawyer and anti-colonial activist, reputedly said, "You must not lose faith in humanity. Humanity is an ocean. If a few drops of the ocean are dirty, the ocean does not become dirty." Mind you, he also added somewhere else, the greatness of humanity is not in being human, but in being humane. But I am no Mahatma Gandhi. So I'll conclude this short episode dedicated to the men, women, and children of the Middle East with this incantation. Lord, please, please have mercy.